Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, boys. Welcome to Purple Daily, your home for Vikings takes 365 days out of the year. And happy Week 1 Tuesday to you all.
So the Vikings start to practice tomorrow. So we are 24 hours away from hitting the field in preparation for the Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears. And we're not gonna just talk about the Bears game today. We're gonna talk about all 17 games on the schedule because, gentlemen, this is our last crack at picking the Vikings schedule. It's been, I think, since pre-training camp that we did this. So we've got training camp observations rolled into our record predictions here, preseason games, the market. We are going to pick the schedule, and then I'll hit you guys with a random Viking of the week. A shout out to Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Ordinarily, we would do our hottest Vikings takes here. We did such a strong batch last week at the fair. We're going to let that sit until the reaction to the Bears game. But shout out to Standard, Dex.
Yeah, so you can join Standard Smart Club, which will help you out. Number one, it gives you priority booking on getting people out here to make sure your HVAC system is looking ship shape. Plus, you get discounts on repairs too. So it's a little cooler now. We're in the 70s. I think even some lows in the 40s at nighttime here in the Twin Cities this week. So This is a perfect time. You want to make sure, number one, that air conditioner is working appropriately. You want to make sure your furnace is in good shape with winter. Obviously, kind of knocking on the corner. It's now officially September. So go to standardheating.com to learn more. Tell them that Purple Daily sent you and get that HVAC system looked at.
You nailed it with the temperatures here. This is like fall football stuff this week here, boys. We're going... So today it's going to be like 80, but in the Twin Cities, Wednesday, high of 65, Thursday, high of 63, Friday, high of 60.
Yep.
And then Saturday, 68. And then summer kind of like reaches up from the grave one last time in the middle of September and then comes back down. But it's football weather.
Football.
God, I'm excited.
It's good. Well, Dex has the schedule ready to fire up on the screen here. And I think we'll do this right now, boys. Let's go game by game. Let's pick wins and losses on the old schedule. Any other just final thoughts or questions before we dive into this exercise?
No. I found I stayed pretty consistent. So I think I think my schedule picks have been pretty consistent. A few things changed here and there, but not a ton.
Yeah, I feel like I've documented I think we've done it 3 times.
Yeah.
And I'll pull that up by the end of the exercise. It's somewhere buried in the notes here. We can compare and contrast.
I have my personal picks from the last time, but then I have us three, what we did for the final record. If you don't want me to tell you what that was until the end, I can do that, or I can tell you right now. But I do have the record from the last time.
I'd rather not. Let's do it at the end.
Okay. Good
Right.
idea.
Let's see here.
And the first one that we did is the day after the schedule release, and that is done very spontaneously, at least by me. I don't give that a lot of thought. I like to just get the schedule and then do that. So this one I gave a lot of thought to. I broke it down more than I have for the first 3, so I was curious where I would land.
It was May 16th was the last time we did this exercise.
Oh wow, okay.
We did a Judd mock schedule in early May, and then we picked the actual schedule on May 16th.
Oh,
and I'll give you, wow, Judd. I'm just gonna say, Dex, do you have Judd's?
Yep.
Wow.
I have all 3. I have our record from that last time we did it in May.
Okay, I've got all 3 records from both times we did it. And then we can compare at the end of the exercise. Let's start here. Week 1 at the Chicago Bears. We'll keep track of our own wins and losses, and we can square it up here, Judd.
By the way, just a note, first of all, we missed an opportunity. Not doing one pre-training camp. Let's fix that. I feel like we should have done that. I thought that we did.
So busy. Judd's camp.
Dude,
notes.
there's so much content. We had so many things to rank. We're ranking top 20 Vikings.
Right. But I'm just saying, right before camp starts, I wish that we had one right before camp starts and now, just to have a very recent reference point. But that's
Yeah,
just a note.
moving forward,
That's just a note to make. It's not a criticism. We're just trying
the
to clean
Purple
things
Daily
up.
Content Committee can meet and discuss.
We're trying to clean things up here. That's what every good team does. They clean things up. And the Vikings have cleaned enough up that week 1 at Chicago, I have as a win. I think they win this game. I think it might not be pretty. Partially what I did here, too, heavily was I looked at the opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they do face some good ones. Don't get me wrong. Caleb Williams, week 1, Ben Johnson. I know there's going to be a ton of excitement, but there's also going to be pressure. And if Caleb is going to become very comfortable in Ben Johnson's system, which, as we've discussed, does not really fit him, I don't think it's week 1. I give J.J. McCarthy a much better chance with Kevin O'Connell. So win for the Vikings.
Okay, Dex?
Yeah, a win for me. Now, we're 6 days out, so weather can change. But right now, it looks like mostly very solid weather on Monday night in Chicago. The high at nighttime will be about 57 degrees, but winds just from the 5 to 10 miles per hour. So a nice, cool, crisp fall Monday night.
What's the barometer going to be?
Barometer. I don't have the barometer up here.
I need the barometer. I really, it's tough to make this.
I can give you the UV index when the sun is up that day.
add to that wind though, because the wind is coming right off the lake there.
Yeah,
it's a little bit worse.
Gusts up to what? Gusts up to what?
Well, he's going to have what it is like at the airport, because we always care about, and I don't quite know why. What's it like at the airport?
Is it just easier to measure weather from like a controlled airport environment?
It's 2025 though. Like that's a 1965 thing. What's it like at LaGuardia today? It's a gorgeous 1965 day. Can we not just figure out everywhere in 2025?
It is a waning gibbous moon on that Monday night. That is on the weather report. It's a waning gibbous.
That factors in.
This is a lot. This is a lot to say that this is a win. By the way, this is a win. This is a win for the Vikings. I do think it's going to be an ugly type of game. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game. Weird games happen at Soldier Field, so it's a win for the Vikings in Week 1.
Yeah, it's a win for me, but there's a lot of just unknown factors here. First of all, you got Flores against a young, skittish quarterback on the Bears side who is learning a new system. He's trying to play on schedule. You saw it for glimpses in the preseason, right. But Flores should give Caleb Williams troubles. I think the second time these teams play, which is like past the halfway point, Caleb has a better chance to be fully operating that system if he's going to. But on the flip side, this is J.J. McCarthy's first time out of the garage, too. So the Bears are going to have a little something in store for him. But I think it's a win for the Vikings. Week 2, home against Atlanta, Sunday Night Football.
Michael Penix comes here. The Falcons, I don't know what to make of them yet. Again, it's early, and Penix is still relatively new as a starter. So Sunday Night Football, I think the Vikings win this game, too. I think they go to 2-0.
Yeah. This is I like the back-to-back primetime things. I don't mind my noon games, but I believe the Vikings do not have consecutive noon games until November.
Yeah.
So get uncomfortable with your not traditional noon starts, because the Vikings have a lot of weird ones in the first half of the season. I think this is a win. It's a I wouldn't say as easy as it gets for your first home game, because the Falcons could be pluckier, but I think the Vikings should take this game pretty easily.
I told Judd on the NFL Takes episode over the weekend, I think this game presents trappy vibes for a few different reasons. I do think it's a win for the Vikings, but the Falcons play a noon Sunday game. Vikings play a nighttime Monday game. So Falcons get a day and a half extra to rest and prepare for the Vikings on this one. And people have kind of just dismissed the Falcons because of the weird quarterback situation last year. They tanked it down the stretch, but they still won 8 games. They were very competitive. Didn't they beat the Eagles last year too? I mean, this was a competitive football team.
Yeah.
They've got some of the best weapons. They've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London. There are players to account for there, and Michael Penix has a live arm. But I still think it's a win, but there are some trappy vibes there. Okay, week 3, home against Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
I don't like the Bengals, but I love Joe Burrow. And I looked at this game, and look, are the Vikings going to go 3-0? It'd be nice. But Joe Burrow is one of the best in the league. You got Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, if he can avoid pressure. You're now, as of right now, going up against the secondary and a cornerback room that I don't know that we love. So I'm going to go loss here. I think Joe Burrow comes in, quiets the crowd.
Whoa.
And I think the Vikings suffer their first defeat to one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Oh, look at this guy.
I kind of have the exact same logic as Judd. I think if there's a stumble in the first 5 weeks, I think this is the stumble. Cincinnati does get off to historically horrible starts in their seasons with Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, by the way. That's not just like one of those that is at fault. So the Bengals have gotten off to slow starts before, but I think this is easily their toughest of the first 5 games. So even though it's at home and the Vikings are sleeping in their own beds, I'm gonna have this as a loss. It's a loss for me.
Yeah, this is such a tough one here. Because on one hand, Burrow is the exact type of quarterback that shreds Flores defenses. The Goff, Burrow, Stafford, veteran, accurate pocket passers who can sit back there and they understand in slow motion, like Neo in the Matrix, oh, there's 2 extra guys coming off the edge here. I will replace the blitzer with a pass over the middle. Boom, Amon-Ra St. Brown here. Jamar Chase over there.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the Bengals have maybe the best wide receiver tandem in the league. The Vikings have a very suspect cornerback room on paper right now. So a lot of factors there. But it's a home game for the Vikings. The Bengals defense is a disaster. So I actually think the Vikings do win this game. But I'm with you. It's very, very coin flippy here. Week 4 is the first of 2 Europe games here. The first team to ever play back-to-back games in Europe in different cities. They've done it before with like the Jaguars staying in London for a week. The Vikings are the guinea pigs for traveling from one city to another. So Steelers, neutral site Dublin, week 4.
So coming off this loss to the Bengals, a very tough defeat, a defeat that left the Vikings bitter. They now travel and galvanize in Dublin. They're a team together, no outside distractions, and playing Aaron Rodgers for the 2nd consecutive season on foreign soil. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. A win.
Win for me as well. Vikings are undefeated in international play. They are 8-0. They have never lost a game internationally.
Wow.
So I like that going for them. And yeah, I know Mike Tomlin's always going to have a Steelers team ready to play, but I don't think the Steelers team is anything special. It's a win for the Vikings.
So I think because they're 8-0 in international play, and they've got 2 of them lined up here back to back, unprecedented to be. People think, oh, you're just going over there, you'll just stay over there. Well, kind of like you're going to Dublin, and then you're moving your whole operation, your weight room. Like the logistics of this are unprecedented in the NFL. You're moving your operations from one European city to another. So I think there's going to be they're going to lose one of these 2 games, I think. And I think it's more likely that Pittsburgh is the team that comes with a defensive game plan to fluster, like Mike Tomlin and his defensive IQ and prowess versus J.J. McCarthy, first-year starter. Dublin, just some weird ingredients here. So I will say this is the Vikings' first loss as I pick the first 4 games. And that brings us to the London portion. Cleveland the very following week, Judd.
Yeah, and while they certainly will have some disruption by being in Europe for 2 consecutive weeks, the players are treated like kings. They fly first class. It's a short flight. It's actually a very short flight from Dublin to London. And they're going into the bye, and the schedule's about to become very difficult. So Kevin O'Connell and I will warn the team, this is no time to take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
I think they sweep in Europe, so I think they beat Cleveland. And as of right now, again, to go back to my quarterback thing, it's Joe Flacco. So, and, God bless him. He once was probably very good, but I have a win here. So I am now at 4-1 heading into the bye.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about the Browns. It's a win. That's my
Thanks, Bill
my
Belichick.
hot analysis there. It's the Browns. Like, for God's sakes, it's the Browns. There's nothing more to be said. It's a win.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, Myles Garrett presents a problem, and that defense, when fully healthy, can be problematic. And it is all the circumstances I just laid out, back-to-back Europe games. So you don't want to take it for granted, but it should be a win. So am I right? Do we all have 4-1 going into the Week 5 bye?
Yes.
Week 6 bye.
Week 6 bye.
Week 6
okay.
bye, but yes, all 4-1.
Yep.
Okay. So what are your guys' thoughts on these first 5 games? What does their record have to be, knowing that after the bye, you have one of the toughest 8-game schedule stretches of any team in the league? Because out of the bye, you got Philadelphia at home, Chargers on a short week in LA, at Detroit, home against Baltimore, Chicago divisional game at home, and then at Green Bay, at Seattle, Washington tagging on the back end of that. Those are 8 really, really tough games on paper coming out of this bye. So what does your record have to be? Does it have to be 4-1?
No, I think it could be 3-2 because the end of the season. So let's say starting in the 4 games coming up are incredibly tough, and I think will remain tough. But starting in week 11 or 12 is where teams might have taken on different identities than what we expected. So I would say that you can still make the playoffs at 3-2.
I think it gets real dicey. I mean, we'll go through this, but I think it gets real dicey if you're only 3-2, because you're gonna have to beat some good teams, like multiple good teams. But let's pick them. So home against Philadelphia, coming out of your bye in week 7 here. It's a noon game. Judd?
A loss. It's a loss. We'll talk about it, but this is an incredible, if you're watching this on the screen here, this is an incredible back-to-back stretch of Sunday, Thursday. I think picking them to win both is not realistic, and I'm going to go with the defending world champion Eagles to beat the Vikings.
Yeah, this will be tough because you have to go to the West Coast after this too. And even though the Vikings will be likely home by Monday American time, and they'll be home and they can have a good bye week at home. I think the Eagles present a problem. So, and last year, by the way, the Vikings beat the Jets also in Europe, had a bye week, and then lost to the Lions at home. So the last year this kind of played out, and I'm just gonna go history will repeat itself a little bit. So it's a loss for me.
Yeah, so the Eagles are a fascinating team in that, yes, they are the defending Super Bowl champions in blowout fashion, but there's just a few kind of volatile factors at play here. Their offensive line has gone through some injuries and changes. Saquon Barkley is coming off a modern-day historical workload, which usually means a step back the following year or an injury of some kind. And Nick Sirianni kind of feels like he's a bad half season away from being back on the hot seat the way that Philadelphia treats coaches around there. So could you get to this point and Philadelphia has a couple things go sideways and now this becomes a win? So I'm just saying right now it's a loss, I think. But if Saquon is out or then all of a sudden now your schedule gets flipped upside down.
That's my point. Like by week 13, Seattle, right? Sam Darnold could be a complete train wreck. By week 14, the Commanders. Like that's the thing is, the deeper that you get into this exercise, the more that we are just making assumptions about 2024. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
Also
yeah, go ahead, Tex.
Yeah, Philly is playing a Thursday night game October 9th, so they'll have the mini bye, so they won't play obviously the weekend the Vikings are in London playing the Browns, and then they have 10 days off. They have 10 days.
Yeah, that's the week that the Vikings. So the Vikings have a bye, and the Eagles have a mini bye going into that game.
Yes, that one.
Which is also what happens as you get into the Detroit part here in a couple games, flip flop. But so short week now for the Vikings at the Chargers on a Thursday night. Judd?
I'm sorry, a thunderclapper just rang past the house.
A Charger?
I thought it was a charger, a bolt,
a literal lightning bolt.
I could tell something was going on.
Jim Harbaugh's trying to tell me something. Like seriously, like I was like, "Is that the train?" And then I heard the.
Judd went Sam Darnold blue screen of death there for a second.
Well, not only that,
it was like the Jaguars game.
But imagine what the world is telling me when I heard that, and it's a Charger, and I don't know what to do because I have this as, and I went back and forth on this 3 times. I have this as a Vikings win. I'm doing the Eagles and Chargers game as basically a coupled. So I don't think the Vikings win both. I don't think they lose both. At first I thought, well, Jim Harbaugh knows all of J.J. McCarthy's secrets, but then I thought Kevin O'Connell is really good as well as a play caller and coach. This is actually one of my sneaky, potentially most entertaining games. And I know the Thursday night games often aren't, but I just think the matchups in this game are so intriguing. Flores versus Justin Herbert. Harbaugh v. McCarthy O'Connell. So I'm going to go win just because I don't think the Vikings win in week 7 and 8, but I don't think they also get swept.
Yep, win for me as well. that stadium's probably gonna be half filled, if not more than filled, with Vikings fans too. They've always traveled well, and they've played in SoFi and that area in general. So I have this as a win. I certainly cannot back off my Frogers type of takes. So I have this as a win for the Vikings.
Yeah, the biggest factor for me here is Rashawn Slater, one of the best tackles in the league, out for the season. So the Chargers are still going to be competitive like they were last year. I think maybe with him being out for the year, you cool the Jets on them winning that division, and there's been some of that steam. I think they had like a 10.5 number at one point before that injury. So I'll say it's a win for the Vikings. I'm with Judd. I think you're splitting those two games, and then you get the mini bye week because it's a Thursday game against the Chargers before you go to Detroit. But Detroit has a straight up bye week the week before. So even though you have some extra rest, Detroit gets the whole week of rest at Detroit, Judd.
So, unfortunately for O'Connell, he drops to, I believe it would be 1-6 against Detroit. The Vikings lose. Part of my reasoning for this is I have a very hard time picking a sweep of a team that O'Connell's beaten once in his first 3 years. Yeah. So, this to me is a loss, and make no mistake, this 4-game span has to be among the toughest in the entire league.
With this being the third game?
Yes, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Like, you come out of the bye and you are thrown into the mouth of Jaws, basically. I mean, the Eagles, the Chargers, the Lions, and the Ravens. Are you kidding me? So this is a loss at Detroit.
Yep.
By the way, happy 50th anniversary to Jaws, right? Didn't Jaws?
Oh,
really? Yeah, Jaws. It's the summer of Jaws.
It is the summer of
1975.
Interesting.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yep. If they're gonna lose to the Lions, it's probably gonna be in Detroit. And yeah, Kevin O'Connell has not had a really good history of beating Dan Campbell. And in fact, the one win he has, right? I mean, Dan Campbell kind of went blue screen of death, and after always being aggressive, decided to like kick the field goal, right, instead of going for it on fourth down. And then the Vikings took advantage and they win the game. Yep. So really, kind of like gifted it to the Vikings, which was weird. So until then, as much as I am down on Detroit, also going into 2025, I do think this is a loss for the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that there are questions about whether Detroit can sustain at the level that they've been at the last 2 years without saying that they're going to be a disaster. I think it's more likely Detroit is still like a 12-win team that's in the hunt in the NFC than they drop off the planet. They get so many key players back from injury from last year on the defensive side, Aiden Hutchinson. So these are still going to be really tough games against Detroit. And like I said, they have the rest advantage because they get the bye week leading into this. So I'm going to say it's a loss for the Vikings. Home against Baltimore, Judd.
Absolutely a key game because I've got the Vikings now at 5-3 going into this game. Lamar Jackson, incredibly difficult. Baltimore's always good. Baltimore, again, it's not just that this is 4 good teams starting with the Eagles. It's 4 teams that want to physically kick your ass. And this is where we find out if the Vikings' moves to get tougher actually are working. I have this as a win. I think it's going to be incredibly hard fought. If you guys both said that you have this as a loss, I would not debate that or argue about it. But I think in this stretch, I think the Vikings go 2-2, which would be, in my opinion, a success. So 6-3 record coming out of a win over the Ravens.
Yeah, Judd and I have been lockstep, I think, in every game so far, weeks 1 through 10. I think Flores will present some good challenges for Lamar. I know Lamar is still obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but I like the Vikings' chances of rebounding back at home, rested, and should be good to go. So I'm going to go with a win. It's a win for the Vikings in Week 10.
I'm here to watch Ivan Pace, the diminutive Ivan Pace, try to tackle Derrick Henry in the open field in this game. And really, any Vikings defender try to tackle Derrick Henry. This is, Judd kind of touched on it. These are 4 consecutive games against teams that want to lean on you with the run game. They want to pound it right down the back of your throat. Philadelphia, Chargers, Detroit, Baltimore are like maybe the 4 most run-heavy teams in the NFL. And you're on the back end of this. Plus, Lamar Jackson is a really good, accurate, intermediate passer. And that's the type of quarterback that we've talked about that tends to do well against those Flores blitzes. And even if a blitz kind of gets home, he's one of the only quarterbacks that can just run away from it and keep a play alive. So really tough matchup for the Vikings It's also Lamar Jackson versus J.J. McCarthy in some ways. And when you weigh it out like that, I think it's a loss for the Vikings at home against the Ravens.
Okay.
So just a checkpoint here as we get to the second half of the schedule, the last 2 months. I have the Vikings at 5-4. You guys have them at what? Is it 6-3?
6-3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if they were 5-4, 6-3, coming into week 11 against the Bears, we're halfway through November. How would we? I think based on the schedule, I think you'd feel like, all right, they're not winning the division at this point, but they're right firmly in the mix for a playoff spot. And then the rest will depend on sort of the eye test for J.J. McCarthy, how we feel about that record, right?
At 6-3, I feel very good. And let me remind you of this when they play Derrick Henry and the Ravens too. This might be a Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen game, because you're going to like that's the thing is you shouldn't have to have Pace now step up. He can certainly step up and help. But this is where I think your two big men, your two veterans, hopefully healthy at that time, can help not stop him, but slow him up. And also, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, boys, let's talk about contain. It's contain. I don't care if you sack him or not. You're probably not going to, but you got to keep him. You have to be aware of at all times about contain.
You got to hold the edge, Judd. You got to hold the edge.
You don't hold the edge, you're screwed.
Lamar. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
All right, before we get to Bears, Packers, and the rest of the schedule here and see how it plays out, this Thursday at Running Aces, just north of the Twin Cities, north edge of the Twin Cities, up 35, we're holding our next Purple Daily Unplugged event, a season preview event. We will podcast. We will have an open mic for Purple Daily listeners, viewers, Vikings fans. It's free to attend. The podcast starts at 6:30 on Thursday. Check in at 5:30. It's free, but we do ask that you RSVP, and there's, I believe, like 30 spots left right now when you go to scorenorth.com/unplugged. scorenorth.com/unplugged. This Thursday, Running Aces. I've spent a lot of time at Running Aces in my day. They've just renovated the heck out of this place, so I'm excited to see the new renovations. Not your typical casino scene, by the way. They have a 53-foot TV wall that measures as the largest continuous LED screen in the state of Minnesota. Nice. Perfect for watching football this Thursday night and Saturday. Well, Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday and beyond. It's also smoke-free, bright, energy-filled, and we'll talk more about Running Aces in the coming weeks here. Find out more at runaces.com about Running Aces. That's runaces.com. And again, scorenorth.com/unplugged to register for the free Purple Daily Unplugged event. Underdog is back in the mix here on Purple Daily for another season, Dex.
Yes, they are. You can go to you can download the Underdog app if you haven't already. In fact, right now there is a gimme pick with Saquon Barkley for that Thursday night football game. So there's a gimme pick there. New users, you can still sign up with promo code SCORE. Whether you want to do season-long fantasy, weekly fantasy, I'm more of the weekly kind of guy now when I play fantasy football if I'm not doing pick'ems. So there's plenty of great over and unders that you can get into, higher and lowers, I should say, for Underdog. So go to the App Store, whether you're on Google Play or the iPhone, download Underdog. Use promo code SCORE, SKOR, for a deposit match as well. Go download the Underdog app.
All right, dudes. Back to the schedule here. Chicago Bears at home, looking for revenge, at least in our scenario here, after taking the Monday night loss at Soldier Field. What are your thoughts on this one at US Bank Stadium?
I go Vikings win again. I go Vikings win just because I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it might work eventually, but I think this year for the Bears is going to be somewhat of a work in progress. And again, so opening night on Monday, I think Caleb is going to be trying to just adjust to what Ben Johnson wants in real time, which is more difficult with the Brian Flores defense. Well, in week 11, you're in US Bank Stadium where it's deafening and it's noisy and the team is going to be good. And so I'm going Vikings win here. So perhaps a bit Pollyanna, but I've got them now at 7-3.
Win for me as well. Until proven otherwise, I don't really believe in the Bears. Now maybe we're all wrong. Maybe we're all finally looking at it and saying, "Oh, the Bears have figured this out." I need to see it. I need to see it play out a little bit more. But for right now, I have this as a win at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's even if you do believe in the Bears, I just don't see them on the same level roster-wise as the other teams in that division, including the Vikings. So they're coming in. It's at US Bank Stadium. The Bears also have just an absolute monster of a schedule for certain chunks. So I just don't think the Bears are a playoff team. I don't think they're on the level as the Vikings. And so I think the Vikings sweep the Bears in the season series and they win this one, which takes us to the at Green Bay portion, the first of two matchups against the Packers and Micah Parsons, Week 12.
And just to qualify this quickly to go back to the Bears. So if people are like, well, hold on a second, J.J. McCarthy, first-year starter. Caleb started for a year. Like, why are you giving the benefit of the doubt? And J.J. McCarthy is a hand-picked quarterback for KO. Caleb Williams is a very talented dude who Ben Johnson has agreed to adopt. So I think there's a big difference between the guy being your guy. He knows exactly what you want. He's going to spit the play out like you want. He's going to execute like you want. And a guy who's trying to learn to do the right thing. So the big difference there is, infrastructure, and it's also knowledge of the system.
Yeah, and both guys were also top 10 draft picks in the same draft. J.J. McCarthy had a ton of success in winning in college, too. So, yeah, I think if people are just looking in a vacuum and saying, well, Caleb Williams has a one-year head start, and he was the number one overall pick, and like, why? There's coaching cohesiveness. There's roster. There's how well the quarterback fits in the system. There's defense, all these different factors. And I guess the more you look at it, to me, it would be shocking if the Bears were like this 11-win team right out of the gate. And if that's the case, then, all right, they're going to be good for 8 to 10 years with the right coach and the right quarterback, and you have bigger problems beyond this Week 11 game. So at Lambeau, Week 12, noon, your thoughts?
So KO, unlike against the Lions, he's had a lot of success against Matt LaFleur and the Packers, but I think this is a loss. At Lambeau, Jordan Love, I don't think we think he's great, but he's certainly solid, and he could be very good. So, and the fact he got hurt in the Brazil game in Week 1 last year slowed him down. So I'm going with a loss for the Vikings, so they're 7-4 after this game.
Dex, you're muted over there.
Wow, you pulled a Judd.
I did pull the Judd.
Pulled a Judd.
That's a first. You don't do that often. Phil's done it
don't.
like twice, but you never
Twice
do that.
ever, yeah.
No. But it's a loss. Loss at Green Bay for me. I think they split the division. And this is interesting though with Parsons and the whole L4, L5 injury. That I don't like that. If I'm a Packers fan now,
How does Chris Collinsworth feel about it?
Well, you trade for him and you pay him, and now you don't even know if he's going to be active in Week 1. No, that is going to be something to watch though. I think if you're a Packers fan, with all the hottie and everyone got really hot about that trade. Keep an eye on that. I don't feel good about it. Obviously, this is Week 12, so maybe Parsons is good by then. But this is a loss for the Vikings.
Jordan Love does tend to struggle against the Vikings in his career. There's a couple of games where you'd point to and say, all right, he was aces in that game. But generally speaking, his pass yards per game are down. His yards per only 6.5 yards per attempt. Touchdown, interception, like his numbers do decline against, like a lot of quarterbacks do against the Flores defense. But I have a really hard time seeing another Vikings sweep over the Packers. The Packers are a very good team. If Micah Parsons is healthy, he will be problematic. And this is also J.J. McCarthy's first Lambeau Field experience.
Yep.
So I'm going to say it's a loss for the Vikings here. And then they go West Coast. Another at Seattle game, shocking, in late November, early December. Every year, pretty much. All right, at Seattle, Week 13.
Mike Zimmer's House of Horrors turned into Kevin O'Connell's Funhouse last season with Sam Darnold starting, and now Sam Darnold will be put in the mixer as the Sea Chickens quarterback, and so I'm going a win for the Vikings. 8-4. 8-4. A tough game, but I don't think that the Vikings lose this game.
Sea Chickens. I love that. Sea Chickens. That's a great little nickname. Kevin O'Connell likely does have all, and Flores, by the way. Don't just put singling out KOC. Flores obviously knows some weaknesses in Darnold's games too. But going in the Seattle that time of year, I don't love it. I do not love it. So I'm gonna have this as a loss right now, which I'm guessing probably surprises a lot of other people, and probably both of you guys, knowing what Sam Darnold might be turning into a pumpkin at this point. I don't like the environment, and I'm going to have this as a loss for the Vikings.
Yeah, this is the environment is difficult. The weather is often tricky to navigate with wind and precipitation in late November, early December in that part of the country. So there's a lot of factors, but I kept coming back to one specific thing, which is Sam Darnold versus the coaching staff offensively and defensively that knows him the best. And Brian Flores last year was able to spook Kirk Cousins when he came to town. They knew his little kryptonites, his weaknesses, and he had a couple nice plays early, but by the end of that 3-hour game, the Vikings defense got to Kirk Cousins, right? I think they will do the same thing to Sam Darnold. I'm not in the camp like Judd thinks he's going to get benched at some point. I think he's going to be a starter in the league now for a few years. But I do, and he did face the Flores defense in practice, obviously. But I think they've got a trick or two up their sleeve to cause Sam Darnold to throw a couple potentially game-changing interceptions or take a bad sack. So I've got this as a win for the Vikings. So I've got 7-5, Judd 8-4, Dex
8-5.
8-5.
Oh, I'm sorry. 7-5 going into Commanders. 7-5 going into Commanders.
So spoiler alert. Home against Commanders here. Judd, we'll start with you.
I hate this game because we're at a point in the season where we're assuming Jaden Daniels is building upon his outstanding rookie season, and the turnaround with the Commanders was very impressive. Dan Quinn is a coach. He's not a buffoon, as some of the people that tried to run this franchise for Daniel Snyder were. Of course, Snyder himself was a buffoon. But anyway, this one's tough. I'm going to go with a loss. I think Daniels presents a lot of problems. If he is playing, of course, this is all an assumption like he did in 2024. This to me could be a tough game. Problematic defensively. Of course, Lamar Jackson is too, and I'm predicting a win there. But anyway, Vikings lose 8-5.
Win for me. I think there's going to be somewhat of a sophomore regression with Daniels, even though he looked awesome his rookie year. And I just feel good with the Vikings being back at home. A get-right situation here. You had lost both games in this mock schedule for me at Green Bay, at Seattle. You get right back at home at US Bank Stadium, so it's a win for me.
It's so hard because now we're into December and there's so many factors that could be in play by then. But Washington's tough, man. They're well coached. They have a dynamic sort of mini Lamar Jackson running around, and Terry McLaurin can beat these cornerbacks potentially on the outside. So I think this is a loss at home, and some of it comes down to Jaden Daniels in the form that we have seen him in versus J.J. McCarthy. I mean, right now on paper, Washington has the quarterback advantage. So I'm going to say loss at home to Washington. So I've got them 7-6 right now. You guys have them 8-5 going into the last 4 games on the schedule. Sunday, December 14th, Sunday night football here. We're ramping up the drama. Dallas Cowboys.
I have this as a win for your Vikings. I have this as a win. I think Dallas, I don't know they're as bad as we expect, and they're probably not going to be, but first-year head coach, just so much baggage and distractions in training camp. And I've always said those type of distractions, in my opinion, catch up to teams. Yeah, you got Kenny Clark, but you gave up Micah Parsons. So I have the Vikings going in prime time, NBC, waiting all day for Sunday night.
That's right.
This is a win for the now 9-5 Vikings.
Win for me as well. Win for me in Jerry World. Yeah, I think the Cowboys are middling. I don't know where they're going, and I think they're going the wrong direction from what it looks like. I don't think we can count out Dak. Like, Dak's still a solid quarterback, but I have this as a win. I love me some Sunday Night Football. It's a controlled indoor stadium. The Vikings are familiar with that, so I'm good with this. This is a win for the Vikings on Sunday night.
This is a tricky one. It's the Cowboys have some weapons on the edge, and Dak Prescott, when he's healthy, has flirted with MVP contention fairly recently, a couple years ago. I don't know. That defense doesn't really spook me very much, and I don't know if that running game really scares me a whole lot either. So it does feel like the Vikings roster is a level above Dallas, and it's a win for me in primetime. And the next week, you stay with the NFC East opponents, the New York Giants, noon Sunday, the 21st of December, Judd.
All right. First of all, we don't know at this point in time for Brian Daboll and the Giants who's going to be starting a quarterback. Russell Wilson might be, but by then it might be Jackson Dart as well.
Do we know who's going to be the head coach?
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
Giants?
There's just so many unknowns here. So I'm going win in this game more based on the Giants than the Vikings. So they moved to 10-5 with a win for playing for the second consecutive year in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mentioned environment being tough for the Seattle game. Environment at MetLife in late December is obviously not ideal either. But, I mean, New York's tracking towards potentially having the top overall pick. And unless, and I think it's a better chance that Jackson Dart's going to have some success with them, maybe long term. I don't know if it's at this point in 2025. But right now, the Giants are tracking to be one of the worst teams in the league. So I have this as a win.
Yeah, this is one of the... Regardless of who they put out at quarterback, Brian Flores is going to feast. I mean, last year, I think it was Daniel Jones that actually started the game in week 1, right? And he throws the pick six. It really... And I think Brian Daboll, at some point, he's going to be a coordinator again, and I think he might even get a head coaching job again, and we'll see if he gets paired with the right quarterback. But this is one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL. They're definitely headed for a reset, and I think the Vikings take advantage. It's a win. So I've got them 9-6. You guys have them 10-5, and now we rack up a pair of divisional home games here on Christmas against the Lions in Week 17.
Brings a tear to my eye to see that 12:25 Thursday game.
Oh, ho, ho.
3:30. You know what? Open the presents early because now it's football time, and after that it's going to be Timberwolves and Nuggets time. Christmas like it's never been done in Minnesota before, and so the Vikings are going to get a lump of coal. I give them a loss here.
Wow.
They get swept by Detroit. And here's part of my rationale, okay?
Okay.
I originally said win, but then I thought to myself, no, Kevin O'Connell's proven a lot of things. You need to prove that you can beat Dan Campbell before I assume that you're going to. You've only, as we talked about the first time, beaten him once. So
I love how you're picking him to lose twice on your hypothetical schedule.
Yeah,
and
well,
now
I'm
you're
challenging
ripping him for being unable to beat him on your hypothetical schedule.
I'm challenging. Well, so far it's the 1 and I believe it's 1-5 mark. Not hypothetical. It's real. So you know what? I'm challenging you, Kevin, on Christmas Day to deliver a win for the Vikings along with J.J. McCarthy and company. So I say this is a loss for now. So 10-6 is my record. And again, with this schedule, I don't think we're bitching a lot about that. I mean, this is a tough, you need to make the playoffs schedule. 10-6, not ideal.
You'd be bitching if they got swept by the Lions.
Yeah, I probably would be because my challenge wouldn't have been accepted. Kevin wouldn't have accepted my challenge. Beat the Lions and prove me wrong.
Dex.
I have this as a win because eventually I think KO gets the better of Dan Campbell in one of these 2 games. For sure. So it's at home. Vikings, I mean, they'll get back, right, on like really late because the Giants game is a 3:30 kickoff, correct?
Noon.
Noon kickoff. So they'll get home Sunday night, and then they're home, man. They're home the rest of the regular season. So I love that rest advantage for the Vikings, getting to sleep in your own bed, even if it's a shorter turnaround on Christmas Day on Thursday night. I have this as a win. I have this as a win for the Vikings.
I need total focus here too. I don't want to hear it's Christmas. I need total focus.
It's December, it's this Thursday, December 25th.
I might. You know what I might do when we get back from the Giants game, the Royal I might spring it on the players, gentlemen. Here are your keys to a hotel room, and you can go home on Friday. We're going to do nothing but focus on the Lions.
The short week is definitely an interesting component this late in the season.
It is.
If anyone has a lingering injury at this point, it's going to be like it's a bigger deal to have a short week.
Oh yeah.
In week 17 than earlier in the season, maybe against the Chargers where you had a bye 2 weeks beforehand. So
yes.
I do think they get one on the Lions, and I think it's more logical that they get one at home. So J.J. McCarthy picks up his first win against. Was he he was a Bears fan growing up, not a
Bears fan.
That is correct.
But I'm sure he took a
Chicago.
fancy. He probably watched a Lions game or 2 when he was at Michigan. But either way, he gets one over on the Michigan crowd there. So that brings us to. So you guys have them Judd and I have them 10-6. Declan 11-5 going into Green Bay at home week 18.
All right, this obviously a pivotal game in the NFC North, one of the toughest, if not the toughest divisions in the National Football League. It's a TBD game, which means it could again be a Sunday night game. You don't know, but I know this. The Vikings are going to win and go to 11-6 for the regular season. This is a Vikings win.
Win for me, and winning the NFC North. This is a hat
Wow.
game. This is a hat game.
Oh, wow.
This is a hat game. So
I'm just looking to get in.
I think this is all. I do believe this will be a Sunday night football game. I think this is going to be playing or likely a primetime game. So I think this is 12 wins should likely clinch you to the division. And I'm on the record that the Lions step back. I think this is for the NFC North. It's the Packers and Vikings looking to host a wild card game or however the seeding goes there. So win. It's a win for the Vikings. They finished 12-5. They win the NFC North. I will hold serve with that.
Yeah, no matter what here, because the Packers have a TBD flex game in week 17, and then this is a TBD flex game, so we're not sure if it's Saturday or Sunday. But no matter what, the Vikings will have a rest advantage because they will have played on Thursday, week 17, for Christmas. So this is, on the flip side, a great time to get the extra 2 or 3 days rest. I think it's a win at home against the Packers. And so that means, and I don't know if that would be for the division at 11-6. It's probably for a wild card spot or seeding. In my world, I do agree. If you have them flirting with 12 wins in a tough division, 12 wins, it doesn't feel like you're going to get to 14 in this division if you're any of these teams.
No.
So Declan has them 12-5, Judd 11-6. I have them 11-6, which is a far cry from May 16th when the schedule came out. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dex, but you had them 9-8.
Yeah,
I had them 8-9 with that schedule, and Judd had them 7-10. So we all have them increasing. So Dex by 3 wins, Judd by 4 wins, me by 3 wins.
Yeah.
So just explain ourselves here. Why there were no games played between May 16th and September 2nd? Are we drinking purple Kool-Aid too close to the season? How do Judd's camp notes factor into our positivity compared to the middle of May?
Well, I feel like, first of all, as I said, the day after the schedule comes out, I look at the schedule the night it comes out, but I don't do predictions immediately. I do them as we go through. So that was off the top of my head, which clearly was pretty negative. But this is why I wish we had remembered to do it right before training camp started, because I think it would have been more towards this. And my earlier statement on the show that I've been pretty consistent was wildly off. I have not been, and I apologize for lying to the audience here, which I clearly did.
You're a liar.
But I gave this, I sat down and did this entire quarterback schedule and all of that yesterday. So I think what happened was off the cuff. I probably looked at, I wouldn't be surprised now in retrospect if I had them being swept from week 7 through 10 with that Eagles, Chargers, Lions, and Ravens. So that's my guess. But 11-6, I think you'd feel good. It definitely doesn't get the top seed, and Declan's record doesn't get the top seed either, but it would get you a home game.
Yeah.
I think I feel good that Christian Darrisaw has been ahead of schedule, that there's a chemistry between TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison when he comes back, and JJ McCarthy. I love the Adam Thielen trade. So you plug him in there, a guy that knows the system. Jordan Mason checked out during training camp. You've got Hargrave and Allen, who looked fantastic during camp. Dallas Turner. So maybe it's just positive Kool-Aid flowing during training camp. But I feel better about the team now looking at the schedule than I do 3 months ago. So that's my explanation. We'll see what happens.
I also might have gotten a little bit caught up in Ben Johnson and Bears mania back then, which I'm now off that.
Okay.
I'm off that one.
Boy, the early adopter on that take got savaged by you 2 other guys on the show. But it's nice to have you.
Well,
over
you
on
just
this
ripped him, but then the more I thought about Caleb, I thought he doesn't really fit. You know who changed my opinion was Thor by saying that Caleb and Ben Johnson are not a good fit. So that changed my opinion there. But I'm pretty comfortable with this. I feel pretty good. It's homerish, but I don't feel like it's 13 wins. They're not winning. They're not, in my opinion, going to win 14 games again.
There's also a world when you lay the schedule out, there's definitely a world where like 8 wins, the under 8.5 is in play with how tough the schedule is.
Sure.
Let us know in the Purple Daily YouTube comment section what you guys think their record's going to be, and we can take some of that into Feedback Friday later on this week. Also, click that like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already done so on Purple Daily. We will have another episode with Doogie with some different injury-related talking points. I think we have some time to squeeze in a random Viking of the week here, gentlemen. Presented in part by Padres, Judd, back on board for the 2025 season.
Should I pop the jersey here?
Pop it.
Pop the T-shirt? Padres, I'm wearing the T-shirt, and I'm doing it because I absolutely love their beer, and here's why. Because Padres, unlike so many in 2025, they make beer that tastes like beer. We're talking a local craft brewery recreating Irish and UK classics, as well as some great craft beers. My personal favorite, and I've been harping about this for quite some time, but my gosh, it's great, is the Red Chimney. The Red Chimney was at O'Gara's at the State Fair. If you have not tried it, you have to. They use imported Irish and British grain, yeast, and hops to develop their beers. Check them out, by the way, in their location, the Old Land O'Nod Factory at the corner of Broadway and Central Avenues Northeast. Also, they're available in more than 200 liquor stores in the Metro, Rochester, and Mankato. Check out their socials on Facebook or Instagram, or their website, padregs.com, Padraigs.com. You will be glad that you did.
I think you'll be glad that you found Park Dental, too. If you need a new dentist, or maybe you're looking to switch things up, looking for some convenience. Well, Park Dental has been my dentist now for a little over a year, and it's been great. 50 years of experience they have caring for and cleaning teeth in Minnesota and western Wisconsin. It's likely that there's a Park Dental within just minutes of anywhere you live or work in the metro area. Their hours are very convenient because most practices open at 7 a.m., so you can get in before work, and most practices are open until 8 p.m. at least one night a week as well, in case you need just kind of a later appointment after work, and they accept almost all dental insurance plans. So check them out. Since 1972, Park Dental, locally owned by the very doctors that work there. Over 50 years of dental care around the Twin Cities and western Wisconsin. Schedule your checkup at parkdental.com. Okay. Time for a random Viking of the week here. So Thor got on the board at the State Fair last Thursday with his first ever victory. So the standings are, I have 9 wins, Judd 7, Thor and Declan each with 1 random Viking victory here. And I'll throw the clues out for you guys. Sharif Floyd was the correct one last week. Before that, it was Sam Howell, Chester Taylor, Chris Carter, Stefan Diggs, and Irv Smith Jr. I will throw out clues. You guys can shout out guesses whenever you think you know the answer. If one of you hits a third strike, the other one wins automatically. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. This random Viking was born in the football mecca of South Bend, Indiana. He was born under the watchful eye of touchdown Jesus himself.
Okay.
Football in his blood.
Mm-hmm.
In college, he was part of 3 bowl teams. His teams went 1-2 in those 3 bowl games, but he does have bragging rights to a Sun Bowl championship in college. I'm sure he tells all of his friends and family at that time that they won the Sun Bowl.
Okay.
Because we never won a Super Bowl. Never won a Super Bowl in the National Football League, but he does have a Sun Bowl championship.
So he was not on the 1999 Gophers because they lost in the Sun Bowl.
Well, look at you narrowing down.
Uh-huh. Trying to help out. Okay.
He did play in 7 career NFL playoff games.
All with the Vikings?
Not all with the Vikings.
Okay.
He played for more teams than just the Vikings.
Okay.
He once recovered a fumble in a playoff game.
Recovered.
He was a track and field star in addition to football in high school. In fact, he ran out of college. He ran a 4.41 40-yard dash. 4.41 40-yard dash. That's
Okay.
moving. That's
Yep.
moving.
Yep. South Bend, Indiana.
Played 116 regular season games
Wow.
in the National Football League. He was in high school an all-state running back after rushing for 1,890 yards and 20 touchdowns as a junior.
Okay.
And so he, I think he suffered an injury his senior year, which kind of knocked his stock down a little bit. In his first 2 years of college, only 27 touches for 136 yards. So a slow start in college, 27 touches for 136 yards. Which, like, mathematically, it's like 4.5 or 5 yards a touch. Not, but he just,
It was average. Okay.
But then, after those first 2 slow years, he went on to become a consensus All-American, a first-team All-American in college. In fact, when he was named first-team All-American by USA Today, he was the first player at his college to be named first-team All-American since Kai Forbath. Kai Forbath was apparently a first-team All-American kicker.
Really? That's hilarious. That's not him.
Played for 2 different National Football League teams.
So just to clear, so Kai Forbath was an All-American before him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is college. 2 different NFL teams.
Weird guy.
Did he play for 2 different teams? Was he with 2 different teams, or did he get playing time with 2 teams?
He played in the playoffs with 2 different teams.
Okay.
And in the regular season. Vikings and then this other team. He ranks 6th place all time on his college's list for tackles for a loss. And he's tied for 6th on his college's all-time list in sacks.
Oh. Whoa, this is taking a dramatic turn. This is taking a dramatic turn because now we have we have completely conflicting information.
Let's just say that his All-American status in college was not necessarily reflective of his first 2 years in college.
Is this Anthony Barr?
Oh, son of a.
Anthony Barr is correct.
He was born in South Bend?
Yeah, his dad, he had 3 relatives who played at Notre Dame. The
Wow.
bloodlines run through Notre Dame. And then his options at the end of his recruiting process were UCLA and Notre Dame. And he chose to go to UCLA instead of Notre Dame.
Wow. Okay.
And then became a really good, solid NFL linebacker. And we always wondered, what would he look like in a different role? Because he was a pass rusher a lot in college, too. But Anthony Barr, who retired as a Minnesota Viking on Monday. He had Eric Kendrick showed up, Anderson Dejo. Audi Cole showed up to pay his respects.
Oh,
to the
did he
man,
really?
Anthony Barr. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So there it is, the Random Viking of the week here. We picked the schedule. Tomorrow we got our Write That Down predictions. And then it's going to be Thursday where we will pick playoff teams. We'll pick the entire NFL basically. And we'll ask Thor anything. Feedback Friday. And we're counting down until Vikings Vent Line after that Bears-Vikings game live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Don't forget scorenorth.com/unplugged if you want to hang out with us on Thursday. See you guys. Purple Daily.